Nuclear weapons don't exist. They don't exist because nuclear doesn't exist. Nuclear comes from the nuclear atom, which doesn't exist. As I explained in electrons don't exist. They didn't know how to, well, they didn't have any knowledge about electricity and how it works and its properties. And they just started coming up with their own crap. So we have the nuclear model of the atom, which doesn't exist in reality. It only exists in the imaginations of scientists and, unfortunately, students of science who get to learn all sorts of crap. They never verified that electron ever existed, ever. And then some other scientists came along and said, "Oh, protons must exist," without ever verifying that an electron exists. And then neutrons must exist. Well, and then you have the nuclear model of the atom, which doesn't exist. And that's why nuclear weapons don't exist, because there is no nuclear reaction. There is only your normal, typical reactions of elements being combined together. And some elements just don't like other elements. They exist at different charges of electricity, energy, and they exist at different vibrations and frequencies. And if two or more elements don't like each other, well, you and I will experience an observable explosion. If we look at the alleged films of nuclear weapons, you'll notice that they're fake. You'll notice that they use the sun as a backdrop, and then they just put in their little mushroom cloud crap, and all those videos are fake. Don't believe me? Go watch them. There's this one video where there's like this there's like this set of trees that are all lined up in rows, and they're all fully grown for some strange reason in rows, perfectly horizontal, vertical rows, which I believe you'll only find in one place in the world, which I think is Normandy, France. And it was purposely planted like that. But anyways, you won't find that in nature, because that's not the way nature works. So anyways, in this film, there's also a bus, like I think it's a school bus. And these trees, this alleged explosion goes off, and it's obviously a model set. And this alleged explosion goes off, and these trees, they just bend at like 90 degrees. But the bus doesn't move. The bus doesn't move an inch. The windows of the bus don't get blown out. Like, those videos are fake, because nuclear weapons are fake. If you look at pictures of Nagasaki and Hiroshima after the alleged nuclear weapons were dropped, allegedly, on those cities, if you look at those pictures, everything looks like it was fried, like burnt, like fire burnt. And the brick buildings are still there. They weren't toppled over by any type of force or anything. And that's because there was no nuclear weapon that was dropped on those cities. They were napalmed. That's why the pictures of the victims from those two cities, the Japanese people, had napalm burn marks on their bodies. Don't believe me, just compare the burn marks, the marks on those bodies of those victims from Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and compare those to the napalm victims of Vietnam. And you'll see the exact same marks, the exact same burn marks, the exact same reddish that reddish hues, and you'll see the exact same thing, because that's what happened. The military dropped napalm all over. They did some very evil stuff. They dropped napalm all over Germany. They dropped napalm all over Japan. They burnt the living crap out of people. And that's why the brick buildings are still standing. Because there's no such thing. There's no such thing as nuclear weapons. It's all fake. It's all used to scare people. There's some evil ass people running this world, and unfortunately most of the population doesn't know that. They're not aware of that. They're not aware of the underpinnings of governments and world organizations. A lot of evil people. But the point of this video is to prove to you that nuclear weapons don't exist. I don't care which film you watch. Go look at them. You can tell they're fake as all shit, man. They're fake. Because they're bullshit. Because nuclear weapons are bullshit. So what about nuclear energy? Well, that's obviously around, but they're using that word nuclear, which doesn't exist. They're using certain elements that give off heat. They have a certain energy charge. They have a certain frequency, vibration. You have stuff like uranium, plutonium. And if you look at pictures of the miners, they're not wearing anything. They're not wearing any special type of clothing like hazmat. They're not wearing hazmat suits and stuff. They're just la-di-da, just mining it like coal or something. You know, I should do an audio. I should do an audio on fossil fuels. That'll be max audio. But anyways, nuclear weapons don't exist because nuclear doesn't exist. Nuclear atoms don't exist. So it's used to scare people. That's what it was used for. And then they found out how good and how efficient nuclear energy is. That's why they run naval ships on those small nuclear devices, machines, whatever you want to call them. And they can run a carrier for like 6 months. What's a carrier have? Like 2,000 people? Carrier's constantly moving unless it's at port. All that electricity being generated by that apparatus, by that power plant, the uranium plutonium power plant. And it's extremely good. It's extremely proficient and efficient. And you don't hear of the reactors on these carriers and destroyers and frigates. You don't hear of them melting down and having accidents because it's extremely safe. They purposely had accidents like Chernobyl and 3 Mile, and they purposely had those accidents to scare people out of nuclear energy. And you know, I don't think they do it today. I don't watch the news, but those small reactors are extremely efficient and can provide a lot of electricity. But they don't. They'd rather keep using so-called fossil fuels, and there's reasons for that. I probably won't go into it, but the main point of this audio is to prove to you that nuclear weapons don't exist, never have, never will. That there's no mushroom cloud crap. It's all bullshit. There's no nuclear atom, so how can you have nuclear energy? And if you can't have nuclear energy, then how can you have nuclear weapons? It's all bullshit. So, verify it for yourself. Go watch those films. You'll see all they did was take the rising or setting sun, and then they superimposed a mushroom cloud. You don't even see the other clouds move in those videos because the videos are fake. Because nuclear weapons are fake. They don't exist. Because the nuclear atom doesn't exist. There are no electrons and protons and neutrons and quasons and blah 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 and croissants inside those atoms. An atom, there's no such thing. So, how can you have a nuclear weapon if there's no such thing as a nuclear atom? Oh, we have Fat Man and Skinny Boy or whatever. We have a hydrogen. Oh, it's a hydrogen bomb, and oh, it's a plutonium bomb, uranium, whatever. Bullshit. Bullshit. Uranium and plutonium, or I'll just say uranium. I think plutonium. I don't know. Whatever. All I know is it's fake. But uranium is an element, and it gives off heat. And they stick those, I think they stick rods of that stuff in two pools, and it heats up the water, creates steam. The steam runs the turbine. Extremely efficient. They have one right outside of Phoenix. They have nuclear generating stations all over the place. They're extremely efficient. They're very cost effective. That's why countries like France want a whole lot of them. Because the people that are in the know that they're extremely safe. They're not radioactive. The people in the control rooms of those reactors aren't wearing hazmat suits because it's not a hazardous material. It just gives off heat, and you can reuse that material. They don't tell you that, but you can reuse that alleged burnt rod, radioactive waste crap. It's all reusable. It's not harmful. All the stuff you see in the movies, TV, and newspaper, and all that, it's all bullshit. It's all just designed to scare people. But you can see from the videos that the videos are fake. Nuclear weapons are fake. You can look at the pictures, like I mentioned before, the aftermath of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And you can look at Hiroshima and Nagasaki today. They're extremely thriving cities with an abundant population. There's no fallout. There's no nuclear weapons. None of that crap. That crap doesn't exist.